Good evening and welcome to the South County Fire Board of Commissioners regular board meeting for June 2, 2026. I'll call the board to order and ask the board, everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, board members, you have in front of you our packed agenda for the evening. Is there, and Chief, I don't believe there's anything else for the agenda. Okay. Is there anything else for the agenda? If not, I will move that we adopt the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fernhoff. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That takes us to the consent agenda, which is items 4A and 4B. 4A is the payroll summary authorization for May 2026, and 4B is the June 2, 2026 claims vouchers totaling $1,471,777.22. I will move the adoption of those consent agenda items. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wankelman. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda items. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That moves us forward in the agenda to item number 5, which is public comment. We'll start first in the room and then we'll go to our Zoom platform. Let's start first in the room. Is there any request for public comment here in the room? Here in the hearing room, any request for public comment? Not seeing any. Let me ask Ms. Blankenship to check our Zoom platform and see, do we have any request for public comment from our attendees on Zoom?
We do not.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. I'll come back one last time to the room and see, is there any request for public comment here in the hearing room? Not seeing any request for public comment. Thank you. We will move forward in the agenda then to item number 6, which is the fire chief's report. Good evening, Chief Maxwell.
Thank you. We're
Technical issues. That's okay.
yeah, I will. What my chief's report is going to cover tonight is our really exciting. We had the Future Women in Fire weekend, all weekend. I'll just keep going till we had. Okay, we had 50 people. Oh, there's Shawnery, from all over the United States. The farthest person to come was from Ontario and Boston even. So really exciting. It was a great, just a great inspiring weekend. And I think we have Shawnery and Mo ready to go. So I will turn it over to them now.
Right, Mo will be taking it, and I'm just here to answer any questions that might come up.
All right. Good evening, commissioners, chiefs, and distinguished guests. My name is Monica Bagnall. I've been working with South County for 5.5 years now. I am currently assigned to the training division. And really quick, we are going to be talking about our recruiting events we've recently done, including the Women in Fire event that just kicked off last weekend. This could have not been done without the approval from Chief Maxwell. He truly was the guy that said, this sounds like a great idea, go for it. Also, Chief Curtis in logistics giving us gear racks to store the gear. And then with training as well, Chief Wells allowing us to bring in instructors on the training division budget. So I believe there is a PowerPoint. We're still pulling it up. Perfect. But just a little background while the PowerPoint is getting pulled up. This started in 2024. The first workshop was put on by Snohomish Regional Fire Rescue. They sadly do not have the bandwidth to keep it going. So MSO Picknell, myself, and Shawnery asked Chief Maxwell if South County could host one once per year. So every year from now on, we are going to host at least one Women in Fire workshop. So now that the PowerPoint's starting, we'll just get going on that. All right, so with this, the Women in Fire workshop is a free 2-day course offered to women across the country and I guess now outside in Canada, which is awesome. This includes hands-on activities and mentorship opportunities. At this workshop, we had over 14 different fire departments help host this workshop, including East Pierce and also Spokane came over because they want to bring the Women in Fire workshop over to the east side. This also offers students an opportunity not just with hands-on skills like hoses, forcing doors, starting chainsaws. It also builds a mentorship program. And it was super cool to see full circle. 3 of our instructors this year were previous students in the workshop. So we're already seeing full circle moments happen. You can go to the next slide. Perfect. So these are the departments that helped. And then there are some photos of the weekend as well. So that is the Women in Fire workshop in a nutshell. We had very good feedback when it came to that, and we're excited about next year. The second recruiting class we are doing is the Fire Service Prep course. This, again, is a free course. It is 4 days, but it spans over 4 weeks. And this is designed for anyone that wants to get into the fire service. We go over resumes, applications, interviews, physical agility items. We found that there was a lot of courses that were offered on how to get ready for Fire Academy, but there aren't very many courses on how to actually apply to the fire service and write a good resume and have good interviews as well. This course, we are starting this course in August. Registration opened today, and we have already had 62 people sign up for this course in less than 24 hours. So it's huge. We get usually over 150 people sign up for this course. So these are the numbers we have so far from the Women in Fire workshop and the Fire Service Prep course. And one of our, again, kind of kudos stories is Arlie Bjorling. You probably know her, but she was a student in the Women in Fire workshop in 2024. She got picked up by us in 2025, and she was able to help instruct this workshop this year. So that's super awesome. The Women in Fire workshop, we are at a 19% hire rate. Already 14 of the women that have taken this course have gotten hired. And the Fire Service Prep course, we are at a 20% hire rate. That is the minimum number we have. These numbers are based off of only half of the students responding back to my email. So the numbers could be higher than this, but this is the minimum amount we have so far. Any questions for Shawnery or myself?
Board members, any questions? Commissioner Chan, go ahead.
Thank you. I really appreciate, I think we are the most innovative fire department around here. I still remember Chief Hovis said that her aunt was the first woman being hired in Seattle. And he was really proud of that. And then I do a little study when I did do it. The first Asian were hired is 1985. His name is Kim. Actually, he was relocated from LA. So I'm just in general, I think we are aware of where we are about the population and a lot of potential there. I really appreciate that you really explore all, and you're encouraging some people to be involved in here. My question is that who else are doing these specific, workshops and anything?
I know there is a Women in Fire workshop that King County holds that I think Redmond hosts and then other King County agencies host. Spokane, Kate Hall came over from Spokane because she wants to bring a Women in Fire workshop to the east side. As far as a fire service prep course with resumes and interviews, I personally don't know of any other classes. I know there's tutors out there that people can pay for, but Shawnery, do you know of any other fire service prep courses around?
No, I believe we're the only ones, and we actually have different ideas on even how to expand that. So we're, trying to be ahead of other agencies and be more innovative that we can get more help out to those that are seeking jobs in the fire service.
So yes, I assume that across the nation, there's not a very, not too many people. I know because Washington State has a unique, being a blue state, whatever you call it. more active in that. But other than that, nationwide, there's not too many that heard of. Okay. Well, but anyway, I think it's great that you guys, get into that, and we look in the future. To me, human resources is the most important part, talent. And we need to, continue doing that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Walkerman.
I want to second what Commissioner Chen said. First and foremost, thank you for the inclusivity to do and to set these up as a leader in this nation. Really appreciate that. It is what we need. It's what we need to continue. And I'm looking forward to the innovative ideas that you and team bring forward and how to expand these operations to reach more people because what you're doing is important and we need more of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Chief.
If I could,
Yes.
Commissioner, I don't know if anyone has ever met Monica. We call her Mo around here. She is the first one here in the morning, the last one to leave. I don't think she sits down the entire day. She's amazing, but she's an example, along with Shawnee and Nicole. We never do anything around here 100%. We do it like 125. And I think this is just another example. I think steel sharpens steel. And when we do something, we're all in. And this is a great example. And Mo's just amazing. And so there's not very many times for you to see the individuals. And so I'm glad you got to meet Mo. So thank you, Mo.
Thank you, Chief.
Great. Thank you.
And that concludes our report for
Concludes
tonight.
the chief's report. Okay. Any questions from the board members for Chief Maxwell on the chief's report? If not, thank you, Chief. All right, that moves us forward in the agenda then to item number 7, which is our legal report. And this evening we have Richard Davis, our general counsel, with us tonight. Good evening, Mr. Davis.
Good evening, commissioners. Nice to be here and see everybody face to face. I think that's a good plan, and I appreciate the opportunity to come down here and do that from time to time. The one thing I wanted to mention as I think more about AI, I came here a while ago and kind of mentioned some AI issues, is the fact that AI, the use of AI can generate a public record. And one of the things you've probably heard me say before is, when you draft an email or create a record, you try and avoid things you wouldn't want to see in the newspaper, right? You put things in there that are, if there was a public records request that was made, and something that wouldn't look awkward, offensive, or anything in that document. Now, with the use of AI, you'll notice when you get on a Zoom meeting anymore, there's an opportunity for note taking. There's an opportunity to record the meeting. And so there's more opportunities now for public records to be created. And if you didn't think there was enough public records already through texts and voicemails and everything else that we have, now there's a new form of public records. And the interesting thing about AI public records is that they all have different retention schedules. So things, for instance, where if you were to use, say, OpenAI, and just kind of brainstorm with it a little bit. And if you had an account, it saves the chat log history. That is probably of transitory value and probably doesn't need to be retained very long. But if you had a meeting, for instance, taking notes of the meeting, probably would need to be retained for a longer period of time, could be requested by somebody who made a public records request. So again, just wanted to kind of raise awareness of that. And because from time to time, you'll get on a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting, you'll have those options available. And if you utilize them, you could be generating a public record. So that's all I have for tonight. Any questions on that? Happy to answer them.
Great. Any questions from the board members for Mr. Davis? Commissioner Wankelman and Commissioner Fernhoff. Commissioner Wankelman.
Thank you. Thank you for this. This is a very interesting time as we enter into an AI era. And, the thing that AI has been very, in my research, is how it enhances our human production, not replacing, but enhances the capabilities with that. When we're doing a prompt into the AI, would that prompt be considered public records?
It shouldn't be. And as I understand it, I am somewhat familiar with it now. If you haven't signed up, I don't think it saves it. But the prompt itself, you don't have to create that. You don't have to screenshot it or anything else. But if a record is created, like a log of your interactions with it, that's a public record. But again, it has transitory value, so it doesn't have to be retained for an extended period of time.
Okay, and I appreciate that. Are there fire agencies or other public government agencies or public agencies that are starting to implement AI into their business processes? And what is the, impact of that type of integration? I see different areas like HR or those type of things. How would that impact? And is there any discussion on that?
I don't want to speak for staff because I believe there is an effort that staff is undertaking to create some policies and procedures about the appropriate use of AI, appropriate training in the use of it. I am not really familiar in what other agencies in particular are doing in that regard. But as I had recommended before, I believe that an appropriate policy should be considered so that because it can be a very productive tool, right? And it can be helpful, but there have to be limitations on its use, attributions. If you're going to, let's say write a letter with the use of AI, there should be attributions to that and so forth and so on. But I think it's it's still a work in process here on that front.
And then my last question is on capabilities. For example, in my personal, I just created an AI agent that completely runs my calendar for me, goes through and scrapes different, modes, emails, things like that, and puts everything I need organized into a calendar. Is that something that that we could be looking at possibly incorporating in future time once policies are done, or is that a step too far?
I think once the policies are created, that might be something that would integrate well with how things are done here. I'll leave it up to the chief and his staff to figure that out, but certainly it might be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Fernhoff.
Good evening, sir. Welcome. We have the rock star in our presence, which is awesome. My question's more about willful participation and incidental participation. So I'll give you an example. There are county calls that I'm on. There are with other emergency management organizations, and then there will be some AI that's monitoring that, but it's not under my control. I don't have the ability to turn something on, but yet I'm a participant, right? And I think what you're alluding to is when AI is taking notes, it becomes part of a public record because I'm a public employee engaging in public business on behalf of the agency. But how do we address other agencies that are capturing this information? And for that matter, every time I turn my phone on, it's got a new face on it as far as, hey, guess what? AI is here to help you, and it's listening to what you're doing, and it's participating in whatever you are without even so much as do you want to do it? Do you not want to do it? How do we deal with that willful engagement and then incidental engagement that occurs around us and sometimes penetrates the very technology that we're dealing with? And so it's not a opt-in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's the same that happens when you call for customer service and they tell you your call is being recorded, and you're essentially giving your consent by participating in that call. The reason they do that is because we have a law in the state that says that you need two-party consent in order to record a conversation. In the meetings that you're talking about, you're essentially giving your consent to be there and participate in that meeting. Now, the fact that a meeting is occurring through Zoom or Teams does not make that a public record. It's the recording of the meeting that makes it a public record, or the note-taking that can occur that AI does on its own. And at the end, you can kind of get a summary of the meeting. But if you didn't, obviously, if you didn't want to participate in that or you didn't want your comments recorded, no choice but to not participate in that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Davis? Great. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward in the agenda then, we are on to item number 8, which is the union report. And I believe we have with us on Zoom, we have Local 1828 Political Director Connor Holtom. Good evening, Director Holtom.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and guests. Tonight, just wanted to say that we appreciate the work that's being done between South County Fire, Snohomish County EMS, and other agencies to try to address the lengthy wall waits that our crews often face at the hospitals. We know it's a challenging problem to solve. Also wanted to mention the EMT scholarship that Local 1828 has agreed to fund is still seeking applicants. That's a joint effort between 1828 and South County Fire Administration. So if anyone has a high school senior that's interested in going to school to get their EMT certification, reach out to get some info on that scholarship program. And finally, just briefly in regards to the capital facilities plan, wanted to say that Local 1828 supports working towards safer working conditions. So, stations that are seismically sound and, the facilities that we need to support our community and serve effectively. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you, Director Holtom. Any questions for Director Holtom on the union report? Any questions? Commissioner Chan, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. The wait time is ridiculous at the time of our units. Have you guys exploring some solutions? And I think Commissioner Walkerman and I have really want a desire to solve this problem. And I think you guys have been solving a lot of problems before. Are there any example that other area in United States have solved that problem?
It's something I would have to, personally, I'd have to look into more. I do know that Dr. K, our medical director for Snohomish County, is aware of the issue. And like I mentioned, I know there are people from South County, from various unions around the area, the Snohomish County EMS agency, and other local organizations that are all working together to solve that problem. Ultimately, there's a lot of layers to it. So there's a lot that goes into it and a lot that would go into solving it.
How about Chief?
Yeah.
We have been talking about this for a long, long time, ever since I was here, but we still haven't solved after 20 years. What's the situation here?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it a little bit more at the workshop on Monday, but we are going to be bringing some potential solutions that have never been done before to really look at this in a new way. And I'll just call it our next generation of community paramedicine.
Okay, I hate to tell you that. I did went last year in Hong Kong, and my brother had heart attack, and we went there. What they basically is the EMS, whatever, they have person there, right there. And the EMS people basically take out the changes sheets, boom, went out again. And that person is there can handle all that stuff with it. So as crazy as the motorcycle, there's something we can learn from the British system.
There are places in the United States where they have hired firefighters to be at the hospital. That brings all sorts of new complications and funding issues, but that is a thing.
Yeah, I heard there's some tort program problem and legally whatever it is. We got to solve this problem. Otherwise, we can hire as many units as we can, but they're all stuck in the hospital. It's waste. Thank you.
And we'll have a great discussion on Monday.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, anything else for go ahead, Commissioner Walkerman.
And I just wanted to reiterate the importance of reducing wall time. And that's something I am looking forward to Monday's conversation. So thank you.
Great, and thank you, Director Holtom. All
Thanks,
right,
y'all.
That moves us forward to the agenda. And actually, did we want to take the, are we ready? If it's ready, or do we want to take the Edmonds Historical Society presentation now before we move on to all of our other items? Because that was kind of
That would be
down the agenda.
that'd be
So,
wonderful.
without
Chair Kenny.
objection, let's take item number 11A, which is the Edmonds Historical Society presentation. If that's ready to go.
Well, they're getting that PowerPoint set up. The Edmonds Historical Society reached out to myself when I became a new fire chief with some pretty exciting ideas of preserving the fire history across not only Edmonds but all of our cities. They have a tremendous amount of artifacts and energy to just preserve the history of our entire South County community. And we talked about how our board is interested in that, and we should all have a talk. So with that, I will welcome.
Just getting the slides up. Oh, now I'm getting used to it. We're getting the slides up, the first slide. Perfect. We're getting there. Great. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about that idea.
And sir, if you could state your name for the record.
My name is Arnie Lund. I'm the president and executive director of the Edmonds Historical Society and Museum.
Thank you for coming.
And after a long career in technology. So this thing that I've just moved into, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Next, click, which will open up a little thing you can't really say. I want to sort of not bury the lead too much, but what we're going to talk about is what we think is a really exciting opportunity. An opportunity both in Snohomish County and potentially in the state itself. To do a little bit of history going back, the Edmonds Historical Society was founded in 1976. And 20 years after that, the Edmonds Fire Safety Foundation was established. And it was established to raise funds that could be used by the fire department there that weren't covered in the normal budget that we have. And so we always have that kind of a problem. Around 2004, with that budget, the foundation, they acquired the 1938 Ford fire engine and restored it, presented it to the Edmonds Fire Department in 2008. Between 2008 and over the next few years, the Edmonds Fire Department was dissolved and the contract was signed with South County Fire. And in 2013, the foundation's assets, the historic equipment, and the engine was handed over to the care of the Edmonds Historical Society, along with a kind of dream for what could happen. Next slide, please. It began, and we're going to kind of click through this a little bit, but it began when I joined the board in 2022. What I was told was the big vision of the foundation with what they received, or the society with what they received from the foundation, was first of all to present the two fire engines to the public, along with all of the other things that were handed over. So the Ford and the South County Fire's 1925 REO, as well as the other things that were handed off to us. Now, at that time, they had been raising money for a while by having an annual pedal toy fire truck drive and getting donations to try and bring in money. Now, when you look back, and we're still continuing to do that, it brings in about $3,000 a year. And at $3,000 a year, it's going to take a while to get a museum to house all those trucks and everything that goes with it. Well, one of the things I learned on the technology side is sometimes if you think with a bolder vision rather than an incremental vision, you can get more support and do more. And so the next step is to really start to think about maybe a county fire service museum. And if you do that, it opens up new sources of funding, gather in more resources from around the county, and you can even get a broader audience from all of the county coming in. Well, if you're really going to stretch, you can start to say, well, why not a state fire service museum? Why don't you go? We don't have anything. So next slide, please. The benefits, if we stood around and did a whiteboarding, you're going to have a workshop, I guess, coming up, and that's where we do lots of whiteboarding. You would come up with the same things that I've got on this list. When you have a fire service museum like that, it's about growing public support and donations. It's about the educational role you can play through that museum that can serve the community. At the Edmonds Historical Museum, one of the things we do is we have a history and a trunk that we send out to schools. Could be artifacts from the fire service and the history of the fire service in the county that goes out to the schools. Schools come in, speakers can go out. It connects more completely. There's the opportunity to do public education, like educating on disaster preparedness. It becomes part of the recruiting pipeline. It's like you see these kids up here, they get excited when they see those fire trucks. They get excited when they talk to firefighters. You know, some of those kids will want to have careers in this area as you grow that. And then, of course, it serves a function of research and public policy and historic preservation. I mean, when the society was formed, partly it was because the pioneers and their children were passing away, and the things that they had from that history were being given away. You know, I know my children are not fond of the things necessarily that I find valuable, and good chance that they're just going to disappear at some point. Well, the society was founded to keep them from disappearing and to curate the best of them and keep them on to preserve for history. Next slide, please. Now, we don't like to talk about competition among museums, but it's worth looking at what we've got in the state right now. And what we have in the state right now isn't a lot. The two biggest things are the Last Resort Fire Department Museum in Seattle and the Seattle Metropolitan Police Museum, and they focus on Seattle. Beyond that, there's just the little things like Maple Valley and LaConner have small museums that honor the volunteer firefighters of their communities. There's a Fire Lookout Museum in Spokane. And then it's looking around all of the little historical museums like ours that have exhibits. We have had an exhibit since we acquired all of those objects for our collection. But there's a lot of other things that are being presented as well. So you can't go deep into the stories, both of the firefighters and what they've done and what the service has done for the community. Next slide, please. There we go. Now, one of the things that's an advantage is we have a lot of resources that we haven't necessarily used yet. So we have what we got from the foundation when it came over, and we've continued to add to that, and we just moved another chunk of the collection that came from Edmonds City Hall into our collection and started getting ready to display it. But on top of us, one of the things that we can bring to the table, the reason that there's an asterisk there, is we have an infrastructure that can be used for building a new museum. So we already have in place the things that we need to organize volunteers and schedule them. We have the things needed to manage donors, the things that are needed to manage members. We have the software in place to handle the collection and handle it appropriately. We have a lot of things we could use to bootstrap up a new museum that's oriented and focused on fire safety, fire service within the county. And then you all have artifacts, you all have documents, you all have pictures, maybe some hidden and stored someplace, but they could be gathered up and organized into a collection. One of the benefits we've discovered in the course of doing that are all the fire retirees. Greg Jorgensen, who's my counterpart and couldn't make it tonight, he was in the Seattle Fire Department. Well, retirees often have artifacts themselves, and more important, they have stories about their service and that they bring along that adds meaning to the artifacts. It's the stories that you add on top of the things in the museum that get people excited and engage them in what's going on. Now, Greg also has had an opportunity to meet and get to know Galen from the Last Resort collection. One of the things Galen has said that he only exhibits a small, like most museums, small portion of their collection. He's willing, if there was a state museum, to donate some fire engines that he's got a lot of fire engines and a lot of other equipment. And I know he would do the same thing if there was a county fire service museum. And then we have, as museums, sort of a relationship among all the museums. So we all have big collections, and what we do is we loan them to each other. So Mohi has material, we work with the Burke, we work with the Coast Salish museums. One of the things we have is no shortage of things to be included in a museum. Next slide. Now, I do want to be honest, there are costs. So I wanted to get that out and give you a feel for what that might be. Now, you can't read it on this screen, but I did before I jump into the costs. As I was doing my homework, I ran across the front page from the Edmonds Tribune on the day of the big fire in Edmonds in 1909, sort of the Edmonds Great Fire, the equivalent of the Seattle Great Fire. The thing that I found amusing is on that front page, there's an ad by the hardware store that was 2 doors down from the block that was completely wiped out by fire. And so they used this opportunity to put in an ad to try and sell more hoses to people so that if your next door neighbor started to catch on fire, you could help keep your own house wet and preserve. Anyway, so that was just sort of interesting that they did that at the same time. Anyway, costs. The biggest cost is usually around space. And around most of the small museums within the state, we either use a decommissioned building. So we're in the old Carnegie Library building with a favorable lease with the city that makes it possible for us to be there. Several of the small historical museums in the state are in old firehouses. Other arrangements are like the Last Resort Museum, which is in shared space with headquarters downtown in Seattle, fire headquarters downtown. And so that's another way to handle that space. The other thing that has to be considered, honestly, is housing the collection itself. We have in the Edmonds Historical Society 30,000 objects in our collection, and I would think over time you would be accumulating quite a sizable collection as well. We rented in Edmonds about 3,500 square feet. That costs us about $75,000. So that's our biggest expense as a historical society. When you create exhibits and you make them compelling and an environment for people to come through and immerse themselves in the stories that you're telling, there's a cost there for cabinets, for displays, for background to make that compelling and look professional. The good news is that's what grantors like to give grants for. There's a lot of grants. We just got $37,000 from the state for our Coast Salish exhibit last year. We've gotten grants for smaller exhibits. They love to do things that tell concrete stories and reach out to the community and engage and show how more of the community is involved in whatever it is that you're talking about. Staffing is our next biggest cost. Now, all these things, all the nonprofits run on volunteers. We have some challenges getting volunteers for a history museum. But I know you already have a lot of volunteers working with you as a fire service organization, taking care of the truck, taking care of other things that you have to do. And it's retirees, it's families, it's supporters. So that part is easy. You are going to need, if we're going to do this, if this happens, you would need a professional to handle collections management and curation. Now, one of the advantages we have, though, is we've built a relationship with the University of Washington Museology Department. That's where they train people who do museums. So you get a professional there, and they brought in last year another 24 interns working for free within the museum. And those 24 people are leaving excited. And if we ever have an opening, they would be willing to jump in it. Something like a fire museum, fire service museum here in the county would be a job they would fight over. They would love that to start their careers. And then there's costs for marketing, of course, but not a lot, but it's critical to bring people in. Next slide. There's a lot of potential funding opportunities, and and I'm going to go through them exactly bit by bit. But first of all, one of the things we got from the foundation is $110,000, or we've grown it to $110,000 over the years. So there's some initial cash. Federal, state, and county grants love this kind of thing. Something like an extension to a city, not so much. But when you start talking about major new things in a county or a state, that's where there's a lot of money, even in this tight times, all the way up to the federal level. Hazel Miller, Hubbard, we've gotten grants from exhibits from them, but they also support big capital programs if necessary. Major donors love this kind of thing, and the kind of Rick Steves sort of people. And he does, as you know from the news, does those kinds of things like we're talking about here. For you, for a fire museum, you also have a benefit that we don't necessarily have, which is the potential for corporate donations. I used to be working with charitable contributions at Microsoft and GE and places like that, and they're looking for things that sort of align with their mission, but that are charitable and working for the community. Here, you'd be looking potentially for insurance companies, you'd be looking for utilities, you'd be looking real estate industry, you'd be looking for the hospital systems. All would like to have their names on this kind of an opportunity. And then you know more than I know about this, but there's the firefighters associations and foundations. One of the things Greg was telling me about was when he was working in Seattle, he could designate $5 or $10 out of each paycheck that would go into a charity of his choice. Well, that charity could be the firefighters museum, for example. And then there's other sources of it. So bottom line, there's funding, there's impact, there's content, and potentially there's this focus on the county, but a possibility of extending it to make it a state event, sort of like happened at the historical museum down in Tacoma that is now the State Historical Museum. That was a small lift from where they had been, but it opened up all kinds of opportunities for impact throughout the state. Final slide. So I'm interested in what you think of this. I'm interested if you have any contacts that we could work out a more formal proposal around. But in the meantime, do you have any questions?
Commissioner Lawrence? No? Questions? No? No
Well, then that's good. Then I must have done well.
So, Chief, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, when Greg and Arnie approached us, they have a lot of energy and a lot of great ideas. And yes, they think very big, but they also said, what can we do today? And we talked about partnerships of, we have bare walls in headquarters, this isn't being displayed, and they have incredible amount of artifacts that we could start to display today. They even talked about mobile displays to connect with our community outreach and show the history there. So yes, these are big ideas, but they also have ideas we can start to do right now too.
A part of, just as an example, what we do is what we call pop-up exhibits. So we've created exhibits with the Snow Isle Library System, with the Waterfront Center in Edmonds and others, filling in these spaces with the things that we've got, and then engaging people in the next step. So our attitude is not to wait until, the big things happen. It's to take steps towards that big thing and just know where we're going to get there. And then we can put in for small grants, and then we're in process of bringing bigger grants, and then use those to argue for bigger grants. So it's all about having a plan and knowing where you're heading.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it.
Great. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Walker.
Yeah, thank you for that presentation, first and foremost. And I just want to reiterate that the preservation of the first responder firefighter history is critical. In the military, we have a lot of our museums. I go down to Rucker to see the Rotary Wing, aviation, Army aviation. It's an incredible experience. It's something that I enjoy to have my kids walk through, to see what I flew, to kind of get a feeling, though that's not their career path. They kind of get an insight into my life, and I'm hoping that they're willing to take their kids to that museum at some point. And so to be able to preserve the history of the response that this community has, this state has had in taking care of our communities is critical, because I don't think a lot of people fully understand the sacrifice. And for public engagement, for recruitment, for different aspects of that, this brings it a step closer.
Yes.
And so I do believe that there is a lot of opportunities. What those opportunities look like, I'm not 100% certain, but I fully support, me personally, your endeavors and your walk in this direction, because I do believe that this needs to be preserved for the generations to come.
Thank you. One of the things that's happening right now is that the mayor in Edmonds is making a declaration, or a formal thing in City Council tonight on the Edmonds Serves effort that's been driven by Brian Baird, former congressman. Edmonds is going to be the first city of service in the U.S. And the focus of that city of service and the nature of the announcement is all kinds of service, everything, what's been happening here, as well as nonprofits, as well as arts, all kinds of service that makes our communities what our communities are. And so that's sort of the big effort for celebrating America's 250th, is that effort. So,
Commissioner Chan and then Commissioner Fernhoff. Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, what happened, I think, Everett used to have a big museum in the waterfront. What happened to that? You didn't mention that.
in Everett,
Everett, yeah. You
I
had
don't-
a party in there. They have a lot of vehicles and everything.
oh, that's interesting. I don't know much about that.
Oh,
Honestly.
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I belong to Rotary Club. We have a
Oh,
meeting
okay.
in there.
All
and-
right, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
it's
good
pretty-
lead.
Yeah. You may
I
wanna
am
find
looking
out-
for more
yeah.
leads. Thank you.
Commissioner Fernhoff.
Anything else?
Yes, somebody who's walked this path basically since I was a teenager. I'm probably the only one in the room that's had an Aaron Fox fire engine, for example. That experience was very much based in Los Angeles, where we had a lot of retired and historic fire stations.
Yeah.
A really good friend of mine became the director of the LA City Fire
Uh-huh.
Historical Society and so forth. But that was all because there was existing infrastructure that could be gifted to this, by the city
Yes.
for $1 or this or that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, if I look back on my fire experience here in the Pacific Northwest, I started in a concrete block building that was barely standing, and then eventually would get replaced by something more modern. But we really don't, as far as I know, have footprints like that are really suitable. So you're talking about new construction versus acquiring. Is that right?
The things we've looked at so far, about the time I was joining, already they were looking at Firehouse 17 and what was going to happen to that, and that's where one of our engines is. We were looking at and exploring whether we would need to do a capital campaign to buy some other building. There was eyes on if Greg is here, he would talk about what he'd been looking at with the Red Barn in Edmonds. But we were more interested in potential construction that might be happening for South County Fire on 99. And that's why we kind of was looking at the model of the Last Chance Museum down in Seattle, that if there was going to be a larger building and it's being designed now, something could be designed to support a museum within that. On the storage side, there's been some, experience and it doesn't make it out of the question. Where we are renting and, spending what we're spending, Shoreline Historical Society did a capital campaign and raised $1 million and built a storage facility that can handle all of their things. So it's not insane, say you compare to the money that was raised through the Waterfront Center or something like that. But it's a heavy lift to have to go from the ground up.
Let's talk afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Great. Mr. Lund, thank you for being here
Thank you.
tonight and making your presentation. Appreciate it. Okay, that moves us forward on the agenda to item number 9, which is capital facilities planning. And I think we're going to have Director Veely and Chief Maxwell.
Yeah. Chris, do you want me to lead us off before you get set up there? Okay. Yeah, thank you, board. We wanted to kind of give an overview and an update where we're at with the capital facilities plan. I would just like to back up. We're looking at the here and now, but interestingly enough, 30 years ago, when myself and Chief Chalfant were hired, we were going into stations that were 30 years old. They were designed for another time. They were designed for volunteers. And that was 30 years before we were hired. Come 30 years forward, it's been another 30 years. And we have some of those same stations now. And they were, when Chief Chalfant and I came in, we were actually, interestingly enough, we were talking about women in fire. We were hired with the first women firefighters here. And there were challenges. We had bedrooms where we had a lot of men sleeping in them, and we had to figure out how to do that in these small volunteer stations. And there was, I know we changed a locker room, and we had 4 of us sleeping in one locker room. Fast forward to today, we have people sleeping in offices. We have people sleeping in classrooms. And that can be a limiter to our ability to deploy. When I asked Chief Chalfant, can we move a ladder truck to the right place? Can we do this? He's like, we don't have enough bedrooms. So bedrooms, interestingly enough, I would never think of becoming a fire chief, and that would be a limiter in the way to get the perfect deployment. As we matured through Chief Chalfant's career and I, we talk about maturing into a metro organization. We started to look at deployment and standards of cover. Where were the best locations? And we started to realize now we're getting into GIS, or geographical information systems. Where are the best station locations for response times? So now we have the intersection of 2 things. We have a station that has to be designed properly to hold our people, and then we also have to have a station in the right place. The natural next step for that was the development 10 or so years ago to start developing our capital facilities plan. And that's so we talk about where we are today, but really this started over 60 years ago. And I will turn it over to Christy.
Thank
Director
you.
Veely, good evening.
Thank you very much. So we've talked a lot over the last several months about the logistics of putting a potential bond on the ballot. You have a lot of that information in your packet tonight. You have a draft bond resolution, an explanatory statement, and a pro-con committee resolution. So what we haven't spent a lot of time talking about more recently is why we're having this discussion and why we're talking about having a potential bond on the ballot in November. That's because this conversation has been happening a really long time, as Chief Maxwell pointed out, and very specifically for at least the past 10 years. So I'm hoping that tonight I can take us back a little bit into how we got to where we are today. So you can take a look at this. So in 2016, we received the first phase 1 capital facilities report. So this was a foundation for developing a capital facilities plan that would be compliant with the Growth Management Act. So this report had an inventory of existing capital facilities and provided an evaluation of the current situation related to service demand, demographics, and growth in our area. So in 2020, The first COVID patient in the United States was transported in Snohomish County, albeit in a South County Fire ambulance. So you can imagine that changed our plans quite a bit. In 2021, phase 2 of the Capital Facilities Report was completed. Now, this report included costs and forecasted needs based on the demand for service, looking at risks, incidents, traffic, and other variables. So in 2022 was when our board unanimously adopted that phase 2 portion of the report. In 2023, the COVID public health emergency ended. And then later that year, a supplemental CFP report was issued for Mill Creek Station 76, following Mill Creek's annexation into the RFA. So in December 2025, the board unanimously adopted a resolution that directed the chief to plan and prepare for a potential bond measure on the November 2026 ballot. And then this year, a consolidated capital facilities plan was published. And this includes updated costs and contingencies, as well as escalation estimates. So the original phase 1 capital facilities report included a detailed report on each station. And that is what you're looking at here. These were deficiencies determined by independent architects and engineers. And this includes all stations in our service area, including Station 76. So stations were evaluated, they were given ratings on architectural elements, the envelope, which is the roof, structural elements, mechanical and electrical issues. So you'll notice that 6 stations have an overall poor or critical rating. And if you look at that structural column right here, this includes lateral load seismic rating and outdoor racking as related to an earthquake. There are 7 stations here that are rated poor or critical. So these are stations that independent engineers determined may not be operational following a code level earthquake. So one of the lowest rated stations here is Lake Serene Station 23. It's tied with Station 22, which is being rebuilt as we speak, or will be soon. And so we want to give you a closer look at Station 23 and some of the issues you would see inside that station. So and take a look at this video.
I'm Derek Roberts, a captain here at South County Fire, Lake Serene Station number 23. The station was built in 1972, more than 50 years ago. This is where firefighters eat, sleep, train, and live to be ready for your emergency calls. Why don't you come on in and take a look inside? Here's our apparatus bay, and our biggest challenge is space. We house a fire engine, a reserve medic unit, and our rescue boat that we use for emergencies on Lake Serene. As you can see, if the medic unit isn't parked just at the right angle, we can't get our rescue boat out without first moving 2 rigs. This station uses a diesel heating system. Come take a look. You can see all the soot, and you can smell the diesel. This station does not have an air filtration system. Welcome to our kitchen. Some of our plumbing is still galvanized pipes. This structure was originally built to be a volunteer fire station. It was never meant to have people sleep and live here. Welcome to the crew bedrooms. This was actually originally designed to be a meeting room or like a training room. And in fact, back in the day, this was just one open room and we slept 4 people to one open bunk room. Over the years, when we decided to make crew quarters, some of our on-duty staff framed in these walls, did the drywall, painted everything themselves so that we could have better bedrooms in our station. A study done 10 years ago identified that this station is in overall poor shape and needed to be replaced. That same study found that an earthquake could significantly damage this station, making it unusable for firefighters to serve their community during a natural disaster. Thanks for watching.
Thank you to Derek Roberts, captain at Station 23, and our communications team, Brian and Kala, for putting that together for us. So we've known about these issues at these stations for a long time, more than 10 years. We've talked about this for a while, and ultimately one of the most important issues is cost. And so I wanted to give you a look at where we sit as far as our property tax rate in comparison to other fire districts and regional fire authorities across Snohomish County. So you can see that out of 17 agencies, we sit just above 5 agencies. We are below 11 agencies when it comes to the taxes that our residents pay for fire service and EMS service. So this includes property taxes, and this also includes an equivalent for the benefit charge. And so we're at $1.34 there. Now, the 5 agencies that are lower than us, these are all primarily volunteer agencies, and they serve a combined total of about 20,000 residents, all 5 of them together. And so one of the financial plans that we've been talking about, and the one that seems most popular among the commissioners to move forward with financing for the bond, is the all-level plan that would finance the bond debt over 20 years. And so I wanted to give you a look at what that would do to our property tax level rate. So we would be in exactly the same spot. We rounded up the cents per thousand initially for the all-level financing would be 26.5 cents. So we rounded up to 27. Everything's rounded up. And this is what it would look like. Over time, again, that would decrease. And it's also important to note that Snohomish Regional has an EMS levy on the ballot for August that would increase their total tax rate by about 24 cents if it is approved by voters. So you can get a look at that. So we want to talk about the next steps because that is important. So the board has talked about having a potential vote on the bond resolution to move forward on June 9th. And I really want to draw your attention to that June-July section because there's another important date there. And that is the selection of the pro-con committee. That is something else that would have to be done in order to file everything, meet the August 4th deadline for the county. And several things have to happen in order for that filing to be done. The pro-con committee would require the board to first approve the bond resolution. Then the pro-con committee selection would have to be advertised, how we normally do that. Then the board would have to review those applicants and then vote on the committees. The last day the board can do that vote would be July 21st in order to make that August 4th deadline. August 4th is a Tuesday. So I will stay here for questions, but for now I will turn it back over to Chief Maxwell.
Thank you, Christy. Great overview. I guess I just want to I guess be really frank with the board. As you know, I'm your new fire chief. It is very different. The weight of responsibility of taking care of a community, making sure there's proper response, the health of our firefighters in these stations, and then the seriousness of responsibility that if we have an earthquake, that it could render half of our stations unable to respond. I feel very responsible to advocate that this is important. Our staff, we went back through everything, and as a fire chief and as your staff, we believe this is the right thing to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Questions from the board members? Commissioner Winkelmann.
First, thank you for that. Can we go back to the slides, please? And if you could pull up the chart is where my first question is. And I just want to make sure that I heard that this chart was made 10 years ago, not this, the one with all the stations. So again, this was made back in 2016, correct? Okay.
Yes.
With that 10-year lapse, wear and tear, we know that stations are, degrade over time. It's the reason we're having this conversation. Where are the stations that are rated well currently? And is this something that we're going to have to address sooner rather than later? Has that ever been explored?
We're actually going to we're going to go through each of the stations at the workshop on Monday. And maybe that would answer your questions better.
Okay, I'm curious because we're asking for specific stations that have rated. I'm familiar with those. I just want to make sure that we're not missing the good ones because, well, 10 years ago they were good, but today they have deteriorated or they're having challenges that we're not tracking. And so I'm that's what I'm asking there.
So some of the stations like Station 10, Station 21 that have a newer lifespan, we do track that. We do hold reserve counts for maintenance, and we do keep up on those maintenance cycles as well.
Okay. And I would appreciate just kind of having an insight into those stations because I know that our maintenance cycles are a topic that we've talked about and want to ensure that we're not, having to come back to the community in 5 years saying, well, we have these other buildings.
Correct. And I think it's fair to always say that these are ongoing problems with any jurisdiction. Over time, buildings do wear down. We do our best to try to plan for that. And those newer stations are on a cycle schedule as well to remodel, to upkeep, to put new roofs on, new mechanical and everything like that. So as we step into these stations, as they get rebuilt, they'll also be put on maintenance schedules as well.
We'll get that information. We'll talk to logistics and facilities and have an answer for you Monday.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. If we can go to the mill rate slide, please. Can you go to the $1.61? Does this include the EMS levy that we're going to be looking for, or is that going to increase it another 24 cents?
This is our current tax rate. That we're not predicting anything except the addition of the bond.
You're correct. This is only with the bond. This is not with
Okay.
any additional fire EMS levy.
So that would put us, if we get the EMS levy, you said that's going to be an additional 24 cents?
No. Snohomish Regional, who is the next agency to us, they're at $1.63. They are seeking an EMS levy renewal in August. That would bring up their rate another 24 cents if it's approved by voters.
Okay, and we can expect the same thing when we go for the EMS levy in the future?
Right, similar, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Commissioner Chen.
Yeah, is this going to be your presentation to the public or differently?
This is just a presentation tonight for the board.
Okay, I would suggest, number one, I like the first one that you have. I don't see it in here. The timeline thing.
Yes, that is the public education timeline. Yes.
Yeah, I would like to have copies so I can refresh my memory. How do we start? I think there are a lot of criticism I hear is that, well, that plan is 10 years old, but we have to explain it started, but when we first started until the end, it's totally updated, change, right? A lot of people don't understand. But I really suggest that we have 5 different districts in here, right? So a lot of people, from what I experienced the last few weeks, they are more concerned about what is my area. Because the people in Mill Creek is not going to listen to what happened to Edmonds and all that, right? So they are really concerned about that's how, okay, when you do presentation, we're thinking about the most important, we educated the public, right? That's our key thing. So I would suggest that you bring it down on that level, okay? So they know, because we've been asking, well, what is in my area is going to, I think you have one map. Last time you do, basically, well, those different cities we're going to go to, but they want to know the surrounding area. What do we do? So, for example, it is Mill Creek, right? So we said that we're moving down to 2022, all the way down to the school district. That will closer to them. And what other stations already around them? I think they pay more attention on that one, because that when we start talking about, we make the same mistake. We start talking about, oh, this is a people are not interested. So we really focus on that. You might have a big picture. But second things I want to know is that the graph that you have, go back to this, they have,
The mill rates?
this is very, well, there, go back to that, the critical and all. That graph, my goodness, if you send it to, this is maybe just a little bit, but you will need basically summarizing, because for general public, that's a very, nobody's gonna,
Yeah, Commissioner Chan, this was
yeah,
a presentation specifically for the board on the business plan,
right,
the bond plan, our communication plan.
right,
Our communication education plan for the public is completely different. This is
okay.
for you who understand it. This is the business plan. This is the
Okay.
timeline for the bond. This is very different than our education to the public.
Yeah, I would like to, when you guys, I don't know, maybe on the retreat, whatever that we have, I like to see that whole thing, because when I watch anything, I watch as a taxpayer. I'm not watch as a commissioner, right? Because I represent a commissioner. I represent the city, the people that I represent for. So I know how they feel, talk the languages and everything else. I think that's critical.
Thank you.
One thing I wanted to suggest was that, and I know, I don't know who's originally created it, but at page 35 of the packet, it's starts talking about the capital facilities plan, and it says capital facilities plan created in 2016. And it was initially created, but as your one chart on there indicated, it's been updated in 2021, 2023, and 2026 is the most recent update. And so I think it's a little confusing to say this is a plan from 2016 and has remained static for 10 years. That's not the case. So if there's an ability to, put in parentheses, updated 2021, 2023, 2026, that would be, I think, helpful to send the message that we've been continuing to look at it, including in 2026. And it's the concerns and the issues are fresh in 2026, not static from 2016. So I just offer that at page 35.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And we're trying to capture that in Christy's timeline. I will say that going with the current team we have going through and doing the update, these really are living, breathing documents, because our communities are living and breathing and changing all the time, and they're not static plans. We think that, I think, when we think of plans, but really these are living documents, and we would never want to be trapped in something old. That we have to evolve and adapt and be nimble to properly meet the changes in our community.
But I think that's the reason you need to explain that, because if somebody just pick up a document, that's what they saw, right? That's, yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great feedback. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Great. Thank you, Director Veely and Chief.
Thank you.
Great. All right, we'll move forward in the agenda then to item 10, unfinished business. Starts with locution station alerting system, final installation for action with Chief Curtis. Good evening, Chief Curtis.
Good evening, Board Chair, Commissioners, guests, and staff. I'm before you this evening with a course of business to wrap up our 4 phases of locution fire station alerting. And this is an agenda bill requesting board's consideration for approval and action to award a installation bid to Skyline. Skyline is our communications company, and they were the sole bidder. We have a history of working with them on the phase 2, phase 3, and hopefully phase 4 of the locution and installation. And this has a contract value of $89,505 for fire stations 17 and 20 located in Edmonds area. And that would then wrap up the 1.5 year long project of locution fire station alerting for South County Fire. So with that, I'll pause and take any questions.
Questions from the board members? If not, we need a motion. Is it just a motion to approve the bid with Skyline Communications?
Yes,
or-
sir.
Okay, well, I'll move that the board approve the bid from Skyline Communications for the installation of the locution system for stations 17 and 20. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lawrence. It's been moved and seconded to purchase that locution systems. Is there discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, board.
Great.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chief Curtis. All right, next up is 10B, which is redistricting and process for redistricting. Is what I was hoping the board would think a little bit about since our last meeting a couple of weeks ago in terms of a process to bring the redistricting to a close. And I wanted to propose the following after talking with the chief. For the end of June, possible dates would be just possible dates, June 24, June 25, June 30th. Do an open house, maybe about 2 hours on one of those nights in one of our admin stations to have the 4 maps up and encourage commissioners to attend. The chief will be there, I'm sure, and have an open house for people to come in and look at the maps, perhaps even vote on a map of their preference, and we can answer questions. Not have a board meeting, although it would be a special board meeting because all the board members may be there, but you don't have to go. But an opportunity to take input from the community. We can do a press release for it and seek input from people in Edmonds about the maps, and then have a talk about the outcome of that at our first meeting in July 7, July 14, the work session, have an open, take a public, I'm not doing the right term, public meeting, public hearing, do a public hearing on it one last time on the July 14, and then come to a final vote on July 21 at our regular third meeting of July. And also do something on the website regarding drawing extra attention to the fact that there is, if you want to provide input on one of the maps, so that we can try and gather attention, not just from Edmonds, but from other locations. But have that be the process to drive forward to a conclusion of this issue at the end of July. While seeking some input, and specifically input in Edmonds. And in addition, renumber, I just think that we have, currently our maps are 1, 1A, 2, and 3. I believe that's a little confusing. Renumber the maps 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 stays 1, 1A becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, 3 becomes 4. So we have maps 1 through 4. We'll have them like on easels, big piece of paper easels, some descriptions of the statistical information about who's in that, what the breakdown is for the different districts in those maps. And then hopefully a commissioner next to each map that's happy to talk to people about what that means and just see what people think and have hopefully a good conversation. And maybe a lot of people come, maybe not a lot of people come, but it just kind of is what it is, and we have that opportunity. So I wanted to throw that out there as an option for the board to think about, kind of see what the flavor is of the board moving forward on this issue. Commissioner Chan and Commissioner Walkelman. Commissioner Walkelman, go ahead.
Okay. First, I want to say I fully support that idea. I think that's a brilliant idea. I really like the community engagement, bringing in, hearing their voice, having the conversation with them, having the ability, especially in Edmonds, to start really establishing this process forward when we're coming with the decisions. I know that multiple people have asked from that, and I'm really glad to see that the board is taking action on, or could be potentially taking action on that. So what you just described has my full support.
Thank you, Commissioner Chan.
Can you tell me what the first day, I didn't write it down, first day, the 17th?
The possible days right now are June 24, June 25, and June 30.
Okay, so I think it is really important, Christy, that we all the important, make as many, and put a newspaper or whatever, because they are really looking at, as it what, Mike Pence and come in and really concerned about that. So maybe it's a good idea to send invitation to some of this mayor, city council member, and you can even send out a copy before the meeting and let them look at that. The four choices, so they will aware of it. You know, they might have some input in there, so we'll definitely listen to it, and particular one. So that's critical to me.
Other thoughts, comments? Commissioner Wittes, then back to Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner Walker.
Okay, one thing that just kind of came to mind, and I hope it doesn't get confused, you know, I know that there are a lot of feelings about this CFP bond, and being that it is a voting year, I just want to make sure that in this conversation that we're focusing on the redistricting, and then also kind of finding ways to redirect back to redistricting so we don't get caught up in the CFP bond conversation, because I do know that there are multiple people who have strong feelings about that.
Well, I want to follow up on that, and I think we need to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. This is one of the important issues, and yes, this has got to be focused on the redistricting and the maps. And I mean, if people have questions, they have questions, that's fine, but like the focus is the maps and the redistricting and taking input on them. Yeah. Commissioner Wittes.
I just vote for the 30th. I'm available that day.
You go for the 30th? Okay. Any other questions, comments? Not hearing any significant objections, I will work with the chief and Director Veely to firm up one of those days, and we'll have something for you probably on Monday to give you more details on the when and the kind of a little bit more of the logistics. Great, thank you. Let's see. That was 10B. I think we can knock out the next one before our break. We have 10C, which is the SCEMSA, Snohomish County EMS Agency Representative Vacancy. This is for the position 7 alternate spot, and there's a caucus for that amongst elected officials in Snohomish County coming up next on Tuesday, June 9th on Teams, 6 o'clock. We need somebody to go to that meeting and carry the vote from South County Fire. And so we are in need of appointing somebody to do that who's willing to go and willing to participate. So I wanted to take input from thoughts around that, and we may end up with a motion here. So Commissioner Walkerman, I know you expressed interest at the last meeting. Has that waned at all?
No, not at all. And if
good.
the board is willing, I do still express interest and would appreciate the opportunity to be representative, and humbled by that selection if it were to occur.
That sounds pretty good. Any other takers?
No, I'm not taking, but can one to go and observe, because I heard about all that.
Yes, anybody's free to observe. The materials are in there for that, but only the one person will carry our vote.
Right. No, we heard so much about it, and I wanted to see what's going on. Okay.
If there's no other interest, then I make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Wonkelman to carry our South County Fire vote to the caucus of electeds for the alternate position to position 7 of the SCEMSA Board of Directors at that meeting on June 9, 2026. It's been moved and seconded to do that. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. And congratulations, Commissioner Wonkelman. And
Thank you very
best of
much.
June 9th is a Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was 10 C. That moves us on to 11, but I see we're right at our break point. So now's a good time to take the break before we hit the new business items. Let's take an 11-minute break on that clock there until 9:40. Is that right? Sorry, 8:40 till 8:40, and then we'll come back from the break. We do have lots of business yet to go. And so without objection, we'll be in a brief recess. Thank you. So. All right, everybody, we'll come back and take our seats and get ready to resume the meeting. We're back on the record for our meeting starting up after the break here with we're in item 11, new business. We already did 11A earlier out of order. We're on to 11B, which is City of Mukilteo Council invitation. This was an invitation from Mayor Marine to come and talk with him and the like a work session with members of the city council regarding possible partnership opportunities moving forward. That's in, I believe, if I recall correctly, that's in the packet. Sorry, I'm just trying to, yes, it's in the packet at page 148. And that's for a meeting on June 8th. I want to say, Chief, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, okay. And so that was I sent an email back to Mayor Marine, thanked him for the invitation. It was very kind of him to do that, very nice of him to do that, and said that we would accept. I want to talk a little bit about process and kind of expectations around that. And so my hope as for these types of meetings that we've had in the past with multiple jurisdictions over many, many years, to have the fire chief lead our delegation. That would be Chief Maxwell. So Chief, I wanted to just find out from you a little bit about what your expectations would be regarding this meeting with the City of Mukilteo.
Thank you, Chair Kenny. We were approached a few months ago by the Chief of Mukilteo, and he said one of their council priorities was to reevaluate their fire service for the future. And he said they would probably be reaching out to 3 different departments, Surfer, us, and the City of Everett, and asked, how would that work? And I said, well, you would want to reach out to our chair or our intergovernmental chair, and to start to arrange that. So that was arranged. Surfer went last week and did a presentation. On Monday at 6 o'clock, Everett will go before us. We will be the last presentation. We do have a presentation prepared. It shows who we are, highlights what we do, and some of our successes that make us unique. And we will be presenting that to the Intergovernmental Committee just for their approval before we do it on Monday. We'll be doing that tomorrow, I think at 10:30 to Intergovernmental.
Okay. So my suggestion to the board is that for that meeting, that myself as chair of the board and Commissioner Wittes as chair of Intergovernmental Committee and the chief represent South County Fire at the table, so to speak, and that everybody else is free to attend if they wish, just for this meeting only, because this is just going to be acknowledgement of potential opportunities, trying to be very positive about it. And if anything further were to develop, it would be something for the Intergovernmental Committee to actually undertake. As many of you know, there are 1,000 details related to this type of thing that have to be looked at. Intergovernmental committees in a better position to make that assessment and work on those things with the chief, of course. In future forums down the road, but that this would be more of an opportunity at a kind of a high level to be positive, talk a little bit about the past, talk a little bit about the future, but not get committed into any details, and kind of see what the flavor is from the mayor and the city council, but trying to keep it as very much as positive as possible, without getting tied down into, well, what does it cost? And what are you going to put in this station? It's like, that's not what this conversation is. And so that's my suggestion for the way we handle the meeting on the 8th. But I did want to solicit thoughts and comments from the board members about how you'd like to handle the meeting on the 8th. And Chief, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add to it, I have been talking with our chair of intergovernmental and Commissioner Wittes, and we thought the good approach, we're going to talk about who we are and what we're proud of, but it's a presentation like we would give to any other group about who we are so people could get to know us. We know who we're going to talk to. We know it's the City of Mukilteo, so we've catered a little bit to our audience, but that was the general approach that Commissioner Wiss and I thought we should take.
Okay. Comments, thoughts from the board? Well, not seeing any objections. That'll be the plan. Other board members are free to attend if you wish, to be there and in the audience. Or it'll also, of course, be online, recorded. I believe their meetings are recorded.
They're
You
live
can also
streamed
watch it there. So,
and recorded.
And then, of course, we'll report back. Well, I guess that's the next day on June 9th. We'll be reporting back to the board the next day. So, so that'll be the plan, and we'll make sure that it is a positive and productive meeting.
Just a question. Does it have to be a special meeting or anything depending on how many board members attend?
I think for the, if they're sitting in the audience, we will not have to call it as a special meeting.
Okay.
Because we're not anticipating having a majority there and talking about fire issues, but I don't know. We have our general counsel with us, Mr. Davis. He can, he can chime in on short notice here. That's one of the advantages to having him here.
That sounds right. As long as the commissioners are not discussing RFA business amongst themselves, it's okay to have a quorum there and not have a special meeting. But you could call a special meeting just for perception, or in the event that the commissioners do talk at some point during the meeting, gives you the flexibility to do that.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I think maybe a special meeting so that we don't have to restrict or anything, that we don't know whoever will show up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll call it as a special meeting then, so that day we'll have the essentially special meeting during the day, which is the workshop, and then the special meeting in the evening at Mukilteo.
So we get paid twice, right?
Now, unfortunately, no, you only collect once for the day, but that's a good try. I'm surprised that question didn't come from Commissioner Lord. Okay. All right. Anything else on the Mukilteo issue? If not, we will move forward then to item 11C, which is Pride Month activities and resolution for action. Chief Maxwell.
Thank you, Chair Kenny. Yeah, I'll let Christy give the specifics of the plan. We have recognized the Pride Month the same way for the last decade or so. We have kind of reoriented and reorganized our approach to recognizing it, and we have a few new things in store this year. And I'll turn it over to Christy.
Thank you. So this is an opportunity for us to recognize the diversity among our ranks, the diversity in our community, and our commitment to values like respect and belonging. So we're planning a couple of social media posts, first of all, through our South County social media channels. For one post, we put out an ask to members to voluntarily participate and share what Pride Month means to them. And we actually received a lot of really enthusiastic response from both members that are part of the LGBTQ plus community and allies who just wanted to voice their support. So that's been kind of a special process, just seeing those members come forward. So we will be featuring that early in the month. And then we'll be featuring another post on our event participation throughout the RFA. So we're aware of 4 large Pride events in our different cities. We've only been officially requested at one of those events in Mill Creek. There's a picnic on June 27th. So we will have a fire engine at that event. And then there are other events in Mount Lake Terrace and Linwood and Edmonds, and we'll have firefighters attend those events as they're available and just kind of mingle with the crowd and show support and, hand out stickers. The month will culminate in a flag raising ceremony here at our headquarters. That is being planned right now for June 28th. And some people might not understand the significance of that date. But that is the date of the Stonewall Uprising back in 1969. It's a little hard to think back to that, but that was a time when being part of the LGBTQ plus community was actually illegal. And so the Stonewall Uprising was kind of the beginning of the social rights movement for LGBTQ plus members. So we will be planning a flag raising, which we'll be sharing more details as those become available. And that will be an internal event, primarily, for our members who would like to come. And then this year, there's also one additional item before the board, and that is a resolution to recognize June as Pride Month. And so we would recommend that the board adopts that resolution tonight.
Great, thank you, Director Veely. Chief, anything else?
No, I will say Mo, who you all met earlier, who led our Women in Fire, she will be doing the flag raising on the 28th. So we're excited about that.
Very good. Are there any general questions or comments on the issue from the board members? Commissioner Chen.
Well, I'm now turned to a politician now. I know before they have issues on that. Are those issues resolved? Have you consulted with our attorney?
Yes.
Okay, so because I really don't like that whole thing happen again, and make sure, I don't know. You have resolved the issues, right?
We've advised staff on the issues, and so we actually worked hand in hand with staff on
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, so just make sure not happen again. Yeah, thank you.
Any other general questions or comments? Commissioner Fernhoff.
Yeah, when it comes to these kinds of activities, flag raising, participating, bringing our crews out to the people that we serve, it's just that. These are the fabric of our community. We need to respect them, whoever they are, and join them in their moment of celebration, just like we would any other activity that we have in the community. So I support your resolution 100%.
Any other general questions, comments? Commissioner Lawrence.
I'm going to vote no on this resolution. This is a divisive and controversial subject for the board, staff, employees, and the people of South County, the people South County Fire serves. This is supposed to be a nonpartisan board. Why take on a partisan issue? This is a social issue that is not our business. Our business is assisting those that call on us, not choosing sides of a social issue. Thank you.
Commissioner Walkerman.
Every person matters. Every person is important. Every person has a different journey. Every person has relevance in our community. And as an organization that supports our community, I want us to support every person because they matter for who they are. And in this, I want to support the community. I want them to know that we support them. And I know that it has been made divisive, but the reality is this is our community and we care. And so let's unite. It doesn't matter who or where, but let's unite for our community and let's support them in their journey, in their walk. And let's acknowledge we all have our own challenges. So let's not change, or let's not use that to judge other people, when I know for myself, well, I'm struggling with enough as is. And I hope I don't get judged. And so, in this conversation, I know everybody has their opinion, but let's put that aside and let's become a community that supports each other. Thank you.
I just wanted to add that I agree with Commissioner Wankelman's statements about the community and LGBTQ and the community. I just wanted to focus that it's also, I believe the resolution is supportive of our employees who are LGBTQ from the LGBT community and recognizes their strong work as part of the fabric of our South County Fire, but also the work that they do on our behalf for the community. So I think that's the part that I just wanted to emphasize in addition related to our employees and our staff that's recognized in the resolution. Any other general comments? Question, Commissioner Lawrence?
Yeah, I wasn't going to speak again, but Commissioner Wonkaman inferred by inference that I was being judgmental for some reason. You having no idea really how I stand on the issue, but it's just not our business is what the point I'm trying to make. What about the many people in the community that are against the murdering of babies? Why we're going to raise a flag for them? Well, that would be the argument. Support people in our community, whatever desires that they have or what their beliefs are, then we'll raise a flag to whatever social issue is on someone's agenda. So there's a difference between being judgmental or making a judgment in a biased sort of way and just having an opinion about things. And I didn't express my opinion about the community. I said it's not our business. So I take umbrage at inferring that I was being judgmental.
Any other general question? Commissioner Wackelman, okay.
I didn't infer, or I didn't mean to infer. That wasn't the intention of the comment. That was a blanket out there, just stating, because I do know that this is can be a polarizing topic. And so if in any way I spoke that made you feel that way, I do apologize for that, because it wasn't a comment directed towards you specifically.
Okay, well, I think we're ready to move forward. I'll move the adoption of Resolution 06022026-10, recognition of Pride Month 2026, ending that resolve the elected officials of South County Fire do hereby proclaim and recognize with the month of June 2026 as Pride Month. Is there a second? Second. It's been seconded by Commissioner Fernhoff. It's been moved and seconded to adopt that resolution. Is there discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Commissioner Lawrence? Opposed, okay. Motion passes on a 5-1 vote. Very good, thank you. All right, Chief Maxwell, anything else on the Pride Month activities, issue 11C?
That is it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right. That moves us forward to 11D, which is our 4th of July fireworks education and plan for discussion with Director Veely.
I'll start us
sure.
off if
Go
I
ahead.
may. Sure. This fireworks, this has been a labor for our board for over a decade now. Very important to some of our constituents that regularly come and express their concern. And I think, this is one of the first years we've seen the fruits of your labor prohibiting the use of fireworks. This is our first full year, I guess you could say. And so I want to congratulate you on your efforts. It was at least a 10-year effort. I can't even remember when it started at this point, going and speaking up at the county. Many of us have went and did a lot of work on this. So congratulations on that. Before I have Christy talk about our outreach, just a couple high-level things. Chief Chalfant and Chief Kane will be creating an incident action plan. It usually ends up being the busiest call volume day of our year. We do our best to put on extra staffing and staff our brush truck, but summers can be challenging for staffing. We, in the past, we've engaged SCSO. That hasn't had meaningful results, and they struggle with summertime staffing as well. So we won't be engaging them this year. And with that, I will turn it over to Christine.
Yes, we do have a robust plan to educate residents on fireworks rules that will use digital, print, online, radio, and electronic billboard communication. Our primary target dates for that education are June 22nd through July 6th. We typically go for the 2 weeks kind of leading up to the 4th of July. So this will be the second year that both fireworks discharge and sales are banned in the Southwest Snohomish County urban growth area. So at the heart of our education campaign is a message that fireworks are illegal, and they also have an impact on your neighbors and our veterans and pets and our first responders and dispatchers. And so we're going to have 3 electronic billboards that we're renting placed strategically throughout the RFA. These will be at stations 13, 11, and 22. These are areas in the unincorporated Snohomish County area that we have seen large amounts of fireworks activity in the past. So that's where those will be placed. We are again investing in radio and digital ads. We are expecting about 130 ads or so to run in those 2 weeks. Those are on KKXA and KRKO. And then they will also appear on websites that people visit once a day. There will be a banner that pops up at the bottom that shares our fireworks message. We'll also put out our regular news release to all local media so they can help us get the word out. We do have a newsletter that should be in mailboxes June 30th. Appreciate the board's patience as I try to meet that deadline next Wednesday. And then we have our social media campaign. We have a video that we actually put together last year that we'll be using again. And then part of our social media communication will also be just encouraging people to use the non-emergency 911 number because our dispatchers do tend to get overloaded with calls that are maybe noise complaints and things like that. So we'll be educating people on that. We will again have yard signs available for free for our residents at fire stations throughout the RFA. We have 6 fire stations where we'll have those available. Those are usually pretty popular. And those will be available for pickup starting June 22nd. So I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Questions from the board members on the 4th of July plan? Okay, I guess that works. Great, thank you. And
Thank you.
I guess one piece of the plan, we will at some point, maybe later in July, first meeting of August, like have an update of what happened once some of the data is in regarding what happened on July 4th, just so we have a kind of a after action of what the 4th was like.
Yeah, once we, it usually takes 3 or 4 weeks to collect everything, and then we'll give an after action.
Once the smoke clears.
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be on a Saturday. It's a big anniversary date for our country. And as I briefed the board earlier, it's going to be hot. It's going to be a hot and dry summer. So it could be a busy day. And, you know, a lot of our calls in the green belt were weeks, if not a month later, from fireworks related. So it doesn't just end on the 4th of July.
Do you mind keep an eye on the lake sticky?
I will.
That lake is crazy. Okay.
I'll personally be in there to patrol it.
Okay, thank you.
You know, one thing we didn't mention, which has happened for many years, but I don't know if it's still on, is the 3rd of July in Malik Terrace. Is that still going on the 3rd of July with fireworks?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I just thought about that as well. And this year we'll actually be working with CERT volunteers at that event. We'll be having a first aid tent, and we'll have CERT volunteers helping with crowd control and whatnot. So yes, that event is going forward.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great. Okay, any other questions on 4th of July planning? If not, great. Thank you. All right, that moves us forward in the agenda to committee updates. Item 12, starting capital facilities. Commissioner Winkelmann.
We were briefed on all the updates as of today.
Sounds good. Number 2 is Finance and Human Resources, Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, I want to thank Deanne, right, sitting right there. Yes, the bond lady. Oh, that's not Deanne? I thought, okay. Somebody, I'm just, okay. A bond lady is, she's the one that who give a presentation on the what option do we have if we somehow, on the bad side, and that did not approve. And then he gave we still have that, Melissa, we still have that presentation, right? Sent it to me, yeah. They had very good presentations about what can we do if we did not. But I really do not want to have that happen, but just in case, so we know we can have something in there. And that presentation is really good. Give us different bond in the past, how it was failed, and what does that do? And then they also talk about Gig Harbor, which is one of the success in there. But Gig Harbor is a bit different. Gig Harbor is a retirement community. So they were able to get a lot of vote for that. So Joe and me be planning to go and ask them. I went and visited them before, and they're the one to tell me all about that. And so we may go and learn from them. What do they do to get that passed? So.
Okay.
We'll have okay, Joe, are you going to be on Thursday? Are you leaving early for the trip, or are you?
No, I'll be here.
Okay, I think we're planning about 1 o'clock. We have a meeting on HR and resources. We'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay, great.
Sorry. We don't have a meeting scheduled on Thursday. Did you want to schedule one?
So what?
We don't have a meeting scheduled this week.
No, the committee meeting.
And why don't you work that out?
I will work that
separately?
out, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next up is intergovernmental, Commissioner Witz.
Thank you. We're meeting tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning.
Sounds good. And then lastly, Snow 911, Commissioner Furnoff.
No meeting for last month, and we should have one scheduled unless they cancel it for this month.
Excellent. All right, that takes us to item 13, Commissioner comments. Are there any commissioner comments?
Yeah, I'll have.
Commissioner Chan, go ahead.
I will thank the board for delaying the decision until the 9th. So we did meet with the Mill Creek, some of the council member. They kind of understand the situation because actually Mill Creek is growing themselves. They have some area, you guys know all about it, right? They have a 8-story planning unit spraying up. That will really increasing a lot of the service and everything else. So I think it's really glad that they were able to tell us that they're not really, well, they want the key points that if they can help us to whatever key points that to their people. So you want to supplement anything you saw?
Had a great conversation with the mayor and, as you said, city council, 3 members. Really learned about the potential. Everything is still in talks, their expansion, but they seem very interested and supportive. They understand the challenges of the community, and I'm looking for further engagement with leadership from Mill Creek on all the things that we have coming up. So it was a good conversation.
One of the concern is that in the plan is that may be located. Relocated. They were really concerned. We said calm down. No matter what, it will be within the Mill Creek city limit. I hope, right? That is, yeah.
We've gone over some heat maps and everything of different areas of need for station locations in their area.
Yeah, we have the past history. They're not well informed, and this time we will correct that and make sure they feel they're totally informed. And all that.
Chief, yep, we've been meeting with their city manager, and Chief Anderson has been meeting with council members, and I've been expressing the importance of understanding all of our plans, but we also continue to talk about the data and the response with them.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, any other commissioner comments? Okay, great. That moves us forward. Then we have two items. We have a closed session for collective bargaining pursuant to RCW 4231-44AB, an executive session to review the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 4231-10-1G. I suggest that we take about 5 minutes heading back to the closed session, executive session, and run those concurrently from 9:15 to 10. Chief, I think 45 minutes. So that will be the plan with the conclusion of the closed session, executive session at tentatively set for 10 o'clock. So without objection, we will recess back to executive session. Thank you.